Hey Tyson, what are we making today?
Alright, so today I'm going to be making a Southwest lasagna. It's kind of a cross between enchiladas and lasagna.
Oh, enchiladas are such a pain in the ass, dude. You gotta roll them all up and dip them and everything. I mean, do you really want to teach people how to do that?
Well, that's why I'm doing it this way. It's going with the lasagna kind of casserole format, but you end up with a lot of the same taste and flavor as a lasagna. And when it comes out, it looks like a lasagna, and you get that nice layered effect. And
but kind of some Southwest flavors at the same time, right? So you're kind of blending the Italian and the Southwest a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, sounds fun.
Yeah. So why don't we get started? So first, you're gonna need some onions and some ground beef and chilies. You can use bell peppers. You can use well, today I'm using ancho chilies and
Moraga scorpions.
Well, if you want to do Moraga scorpions, go for it. But I'm not going to be responsible for any damages you cause.
So what are you using right now?
I'm using ancho chilies and hatch green chilies.
Nice.
I know the hatch are canned, but they still add a nice flavor.
Well, you got kind of a little bit of the pickling going on there. And
Exactly.
Cool.
So, what we're going to be doing is taking all these and saute. So, first step is oil up your pan. Get a nice coating on there.
About how much oil do you want to use?
A couple tablespoons.
Alright. Fire. Ah, wrong fire. Right fire.
And take your onions.
You're just going to do a bit of a sweat on those for a little?
Yep. With the garlic. And your peppers. If you're using canned peppers, you probably want to hold off a little bit. And, so as you can see, I'm not putting the hatch in yet, but stir it around, let it sweat. And actually, you're taking a little bit more than a sweat, because you are going to be cooking them down entirely. And if you don't know what sweating your vegetables is, it's putting it on kind of a low heat and letting it heat up so that the liquid starts coming out, but you're not actually cooking them. So that's not what we're doing today.
Okay, so you're doing more of a saute.
Alright, so once your vegetables have sauteed a little bit, they're starting to get a little bit translucent, go ahead and add your meat. Try not to flop it over the pan like that, because that's a mess to clean up later. And you're going to brown the meat most of the way.
Leave just a little bit of pink?
Yeah, you can leave just a little bit of pink. Okay, so this is about the color you're looking for. When you get it to about here, if you're using canned chilies, this is when you'd add them. And you're going to add your cilantro and oregeno at this point.
What if I don't have any cilantro or oregeno?
Well, you can use dried spices if you can't find them in the stores. It'll be okay without it, but it won't be as good.
Any possible substitutions?
You can use some parsley, rosemary, depending on whether you want it to be more Southwest or more Italian. Feel free to use any of the Italian seasonings you might have in your kitchen. I always try and use fresh herbs, but don't feel like you have to. So once you've got it down and the herbs have cooked a little bit, go ahead and add your tomato. And you're just going to cook it down until there's not as much, reduce the liquid by 50-60%.
Sounds good. Okay, when are we getting smell-o-vision?
Yeah, talk to Emerald on that. He's the one that keeps bringing it up in his shows.
So, if we add explosives, do we get banned? Or is that
that's a different show.
Okay, now we're in Alton Brown territory. Okay.
Or Mythbusters. All right. So this right here is going to be your stuffing.
Alright.
Alright, so oil up your pan just a little bit because otherwise it's going to stick and that's a mess. Take a little bit of your enchilada sauce, pour a little bit on the bottom of your pan. And again, spread it around. And that'll also help with the sticking. Then you're going to take your tortillas and you're going to put a layer just right on the bottom. Now normally if you were making enchiladas, you'd be dipping the tortillas and trying to keep them from sticking to the, or keep them flexible. But doing it this way, you can just layer them, then add another small layer of enchilada sauce. Take some of your stuffing and spread out a nice even layer. Then you want to take some of your cheese.
What kind of cheese you want to use?
So I'm using Dubliner because being lactose intolerant, I need something that's a little bit less with the lactose, but you can use mozzarella, or if you want to get it really traditionally Mexican, Monterey Jack would be really good for this. But basically use whatever kind of cheese you like. And
Humboldt Fog it is.
go for it. I wouldn't recommend using any blue cheeses, but that's just because the flavor of the blue cheese just really wouldn't go with this particular dish. So get a layer of cheese, then do another layer of tortillas, another thick layer of sauce, and more meat. And if you're not the type that likes meat, feel free to use your favorite tofu or sofritas or
Vegetarians.
yeah, you can use vegetarians, although they tend to object a little bit. Also, you don't have to use beef for this recipe. My personal favorite would be buffalo, but depending on where you are in the country, that can get expensive. Pork or sausage or, well, anything you can get ground. If you want it a little bit leaner, go with turkey. But it all works. And that's kind of the key element to good cooking. Go with what you like. What I'm doing here is just a suggestion. And get a little bit more cheese.
Magic Cheese Factory. Yeah, people don't know you can just randomly pull cheese from out of the side of the viewing angle anytime you like.
One last layer of tortillas. Another layer of sauce. Get the last of our meat here. one final layer of cheese.
About how much cheese did you end up using?
Actually, in this particular case, I think I ended up about a pound of cheese. But I'm putting more cheese on than you necessarily need. The main place where you want the cheese is right here on top, so it'll create a nice bubbly layer. And you can cut back on a bit on the sauce if you're worried about it being too runny. But that's what you're going for, right there. Then take this, put it in the oven at about 350 degrees until it's just nice and bubbly and crisp on top. Alright. So once it's nice and browned, carefully take it out. And that's about what you're looking for right there. Cheese nice and bubbly, the sauce should be just barely bubbling over, and give it about 5 minutes or so, cut it and serve it.
Cool.
So once it's cooled, slice it and serve. And there we have it. Southwest lasagna. Hope you enjoy.